topic for discussion is how multiple functions interpret the same data differently. So in today's world, most of the business decisions are taken based on data, right? And data has become a very critical element when it comes for business decisions. And this data many times are self-generated within the firm. And many of this data, when it is used for decision making, the functional teams interpret the way they want, right? Or based on their interest perspective. Right? And this creates a lot of conflicts in the firm. And we are going to discuss about those conflicts and how it gets solved and so on. So to start our discussion, maybe we will start discussing about what are the most common KPIs which runs in conflict when it comes for interpretation across the function.
Immediately 2 points come to my mind. One is that attrition is a well-looked data, but there are times when I have presented attrition data and showing lesser attrition, which I feel proud about, or the team feels proud about. I have been questioned on why such low attrition. The team which have low attrition, are they super comfortable or underproductive? And most of the time it comes from a commercial head and, business leader, that kind of a question. Now, this is very counterintuitive, right? So this is one data point. The other one is, I think, cost of a hire. HR will always look at it as need of the hour if you want to really make the organization future ready. But finance will always look at it differently.
Okay. So attrition, right?
Attrition is one of the...
I can totally relate to that. That's the reason I'm laughing.
Okay.
I look at it the same way that this triangle is always, right? This cost, this speed, and this quality. So every time you try and maximize all three, doesn't necessarily happen. And usually KPIs which are driven, different KPIs, different organization or different leadership functions will lead different things. Example, say a sales organization will want to maximize the sales value. It does matter to them, but it's a less secondary order benefit in terms of what cost do they sell it at. They need to sell more. While at the same time, the logistics team would try to reduce the cost at all points and say, how do we try and optimize sales as against maximize to ensure that the cost is, while at the same time, the, let's say, to the point of attrition or to how hiring, the commercial team would say that let's hire fast, even at a higher cost. While the HR team might say that there is a process and there is a
cultural
way of,
fitment.
Cultural fitment. Plus, there's a cost of hiring. Let's ensure we get it right, even if though we might need to take a little bit longer. Let's go through the whole 9 yards to ensure they're in time. So I guess every KPI, when there are multiple functions involved, would have a little bit of a challenge associated with it, with the interpretation as well as the KPIs for that function. And that it becomes extremely crucial for the leadership to really harmonize and ensure that the key KPIs for the organization are what is driving everything. Because every KPI that way has multiple functions attached to it, multiple owners attached to it, and they at times go divergent ways, which could lead to a lot of chaos, which actually does.
Okay. I think one of the things about KPIs is that most companies have to manage it in such a way that you create the illusion of success and progress. And what is really happening is that people are going to get operationally quite busy making all this happen. I mean, this is the reality of how companies function. And the bigger you get, the more busy it gets, and the larger does the illusion become. It also is the dynamic that we were discussing earlier between, who's minding the show. Boards, when they are very strong and looking for KPIs, even though you have a strong management, but if they are the power center, they are hedge funds wanting a 1 year, 2 year exit, then the whole preparation of KPIs for them goes into a very different direction. The key thing to watch out for is, how are these, and I think in the previous session, we talked of KPIs and outcomes. I think that was one conversation that we had. And I think that was a very sensible way of looking at it. Because if you can focus, while the board's focusing you on the KPI, you can focus the board on outcomes. And I think then you are in a better position to make sure that your shared goals and your shared outcomes are there. So I think I just leave that at the first point to talk about.
I think on the talent front, again, continuing with the people function, I represent the people function as well. While you look at KPIs in terms of performance, I think performance itself can create different points of views,
Conflicts.
conflict between how HR looks at it, how business looks at it. Because sometimes, you may, whether it's short term or the difference between the what and the how. A lot of times I get into debates between the what and the how, right? And it's an age-old debate.
Yeah.
So it's the same data, same performance, but there's something more than what's the data telling, and how this talent drove that performance is as important, if not more, than what they drove. So I think there's a lot of conflict that happens in that as well, even if it's the same data.
So continuing to that a little more granular, been 2 decades in the people function and across life cycle. If I look at talent acquisition and specific to, I would say, institutional hiring, which is a campus hiring, recruits, there has been a constant debate that there will be a finance angle to it, that how long this cost will be under corporate. That is a value generation. And the gestation has started from 2 years to 1 year, and I think the patience is going lesser in the finance function. And they wanted to pass it on to the line function, which is the operational or cost centers or the revenue generating cost centers on that. So now I'm seeing that the change is coming up and there's a conflict there, that who's going to hold that cost. And that is going to impact a very future, that how do we see as a corporate campus recruits generating value in the organization from the time they join? Is it 3 months, 6 months? And that is what, correlating to the policies, your probation period will start changing. Constantly has been historically been 6 months, because there has been no such research done that is 6 months good enough to be on a probation, so that organizational HR function can take that call now. I think we are moving towards that, where finance is raising a question to HR function on talent acquisition, especially on campus recruits. When is that break even of that value generation to begin? And it is going to key that in the next 5-10 years.
Sure. So I think, again, I will talk about the people function. The one discussion or debate that, one has had with business is about learning. And when I'm talking about learning, it is not about so much of technical learning investments, but about what we call as leadership or soft skills. So whilst there has been, research which generally show that, investing in leadership, first level managers, or let's say a life cycle approach of leadership where you have early manager, mid manager, senior manager, strategic manager, the tangible value of these programs is always in question. Do we actually, so organizations spend tens of thousands of dollars on it, do we get the outcome? I think functions have talked about succession planning, but even the best of organizations more often than not bring talent from the outside. So the justification of continuing these interventions and learning interventions in the leadership life cycle have been always in question. But again, this is one of the things that you have to believe. An organization has to believe that it is worthwhile to invest in training its people, even though they may or may not stay with you for a very, very long time. It's a constantly evolving market. So there's always a debate there. And that's one thing that, while there have been, some academic research behind it, it always is a source of friction between HR and, the learning function, HR function and other function.
I think I'll blend the business with, HR function, because predominantly our panel. Every Monday morning, I get a email with a dashboard which says our utilization of our resources is at, 65, 75, 80, 90, etc., etc. Second email I get from a HR saying that we have a recruitment drive for Friday. It's a walk-in recruitment. And, if you look at our average utilization across manager to a senior director is around 50%, and you are doing a recruitment drive to hire more. Where is the other 50% going? This is the two metrics, the data which comes to you. Then you overlay with what is actually happening, right? When you go and talk to them in the corridor or at least at the, water cooler conversation, they will say, I'm working on 3 different things, which is not even in the system. So how will you correlate the data with what people are doing? The guy doesn't have time. He's working 10 hours. But the utilization on the numbers which we have given, because everybody has got a code, that's a mechanical thing which we have done. But the reality of data to what is actually happening on the ground, that's the biggest challenge today.
Measurement.
measurement, there is, absolutely no way. 50%, the guy is working 9 hour, 10 hour, which is 120% of what is showing in this one. HR is coming back and saying that I need to recruit more. And the senior director is saying that we need more people. And if I look at my cost, cost is at 50%, right? So the data and what is happening in reality is not matching.
Okay.
That's the, I would say the business to, the function on data, on the KPI, that's where the mismatch happens.
Okay. So